Imagine waking up to the news that President Donald Trump has just delayed tariffs on Mexican imports. After a high-stakes phone call with Mexico's President Claudia Sheinbaum, what did Trump demand in return? And how will this impact the U.S. economy, immigration policies, and the ongoing global trade tensions? Stick around because this is a major geopolitical move with serious consequences. Today, we break down the bombshell agreement between the U.S. and Mexico that could reshape trade and border security policies. President Trump took to Truth Social to confirm that he had a very friendly conversation with President Sheinbaum. The result? Mexico has agreed to deploy 10,000 National Guard troops to its northern border, aiming to curb cross-border drug trafficking and illegal immigration. In exchange, the U.S. has agreed to pause the anticipated tariffs for a one-month period, allowing time for negotiations led by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. For Trump, this is a strategic win. The White House is already touting it as a victory, positioning the tariffs as a negotiation tactic that forced Mexico to act. Trump has long argued that tariffs can be used as leverage, and now he can claim that simply threatening them has already secured a major concession. This is precisely the kind of hardline deal-making that plays well with his base. He promised to tighten border security and reduce the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S., and now he has a signed commitment from Mexico to do just that. But while Mexico has avoided immediate economic pain, its leaders are keenly aware that the threat of tariffs still looms. Speaking to reporters, President Sheinbaum emphasized that the U.S. has also committed to cracking down on the southbound flow of high-powered weapons, an issue that has long fueled violence among Mexican cartels. This point is crucial for Sheinbaum, as successive Mexican governments have pushed Washington to address this issue. In short, both sides are claiming a win, but the one-month deadline keeps the tension alive. Meanwhile, the financial markets are reacting. Wall Street opened in the red as investors digest the ripple effects of these trade threats. The delay provides temporary relief, but uncertainty remains high. Trump's economic strategy isn't just limited to Mexico. He has also confirmed that tariffs on Canada and China will proceed, setting the stage for a broader trade war. And with Trump now saying that the European Union will also face import taxes, businesses and global markets are bracing for volatility. As negotiations begin, Canada is watching closely. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau must now decide whether to follow Mexico's lead and try to strike a deal with Washington. With over $100 billion in Canadian goods now subject to U.S. tariffs, the stakes couldn't be higher. Will Trudeau be able to broker a similar agreement, or will Canada become the next casualty of Trump's aggressive trade policies? On the ground in Mexico, our correspondent Will Grant reports that Sheinbaum wasted no time addressing the public. Just before her morning press conference, she posted on X, formerly Twitter, confirming that Mexico will immediately reinforce its border security efforts. The focus will be on drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl, the powerful synthetic opioid that has become a focal point in U.S. politics. With fentanyl overdoses surging in America, Trump has made it clear that he expects Mexico to do more to stop the flow of illegal drugs. The role of the Mexican National Guard will be crucial in this agreement. Over the past few years, Mexico has expanded its use of military forces to handle border enforcement, but there are questions about how effective this deployment will be. Critics argue that sending 10,000 troops to the northern border may not be enough to halt drug smuggling and illegal immigration, particularly if cartel networks continue to find alternative smuggling routes. Some experts also warn that increasing militarization of the border could strain Mexico's security resources, potentially leaving other parts of the country vulnerable to rising crime rates. But let's take a step back. Why do tariffs matter, and how do they work as a political and economic weapon? To explain, we turn to Clarissa Hahn from Oxford Economics. She describes tariffs as a tax imposed on imported goods, making foreign products more expensive and encouraging consumers to buy domestically produced alternatives. While this can boost domestic industries, it also raises costs for businesses that rely on global supply chains. For instance, if you're a U.S. car manufacturer, tariffs on imported parts will drive up production costs, meaning consumers ultimately pay more for the final product. Tariffs can be a double-edged sword, benefiting some industries while hurting others. And when tariffs hit major trading partners like Canada and Mexico, where cross-border trade is worth hundreds of billions of dollars annually, the economic impact can be massive. In addition to economic consequences, there is also a broader geopolitical element at play. The U.S. and Mexico are deeply intertwined economically, socially, and politically. A trade war could have ripple effects that go beyond just the price of goods. It could strain diplomatic relations, disrupt supply chains, and even impact migration patterns. Mexico relies heavily on trade with the U.S., and any prolonged tariff battle could weaken its economy, potentially leading to greater instability in the region. So what happens next? Over the next month, negotiators from both sides will try to strike a deal before the tariff threat is reinstated. Trump has made it clear that he is willing to escalate trade tensions if Mexico does not follow through on its commitments. Meanwhile, global markets, businesses, and everyday consumers will be watching closely. What do you think? Will Trump's strategy work in America's favor, or is this just another step toward an all-out trade war? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth analysis on the biggest political and economic stories shaping our world.